Hello, this is wmpyr. In this video, I'm here to talk about vertical punching versus horizontal punching. This was a requested video, and basically I wanted to see what other people were saying about it. I went on YouTube and I saw a video from a guy. His YouTube channel, I believe, was called Expert Boxing, and he does a really great job. I agreed with everything he said. His boxing skills are much higher than mine. It made a lot of sense to me. But that being said though, when he was talking about using this and this in the world of boxing, okay, so that was his perspective. So in this video, what I want to talk about is from the perspective of Wing Chun and JKD. Please keep in mind that I am not an expert on either one of those. I'm just a practitioner of both, okay? All right, so first let me say that I'm going to use Wing Chun and JKD as an example, and I also feel like they're kind of famous for their vertical punching. So first, let me just talk about JKD real quick. So why do they do the vertical punch in JKD? And instead of going into all the technical stuff, all right, the answer that I want to give you guys is very simple, okay? I think Bruce Lee was a big fan of Wing Chun. He had background in it, he liked it, and then he also liked boxing. So he saw some limitations in the Wing Chun version, so he was like, let's combine the two. So he combined Wing Chun style of punching with boxing style of punching, and his result was the straight lead that you see in JKD. So if another person were to combine a Wing Chun type of punch with a boxing type of punch, they might come up with something different. But as far as Bruce Lee goes, this is what he came up with, this is what he worked on. So, you know, that's why the JKD people practice, you know, that kind of vertical punching. So, plain and simple. All right, so now let's talk about Wing Chun. Okay, so in Wing Chun compared to boxing, one of the biggest things is how you approach the clinch. Okay, so in boxing, if I see a very good opportunity to hit hard and I end up in a clinch, you know, it's not that bad for me if I'm in the clinch. You know, there's some stuff that I could do from here, and then the referee comes in and separates us. Okay, so the penalty of getting into the clinch is not that bad. So if I see an opportunity to hit hard and I end up here, it's okay in boxing. For a Wing Chun person, is designed for street, it's designed for self-defense. One of the worst things that can happen to you is you end up in the clinch, this dude grabs me, his buddy comes over and stabs me with a knife. That's one of the worst things that can happen. So getting into the clinch is critical for a Wing Chun person. So it makes sense to me that they're going to be wanting to maintain this distance and push, okay? And the pushing to me is very important for keeping this distance. Why? Because if you push someone in the shoulder right here, they do this and they can still grab a hold and pull you in, go into an arm drag, whatever. You're still going to be in a clinch. If you push their center line, now you're disrupting their base, okay? So I think that's why they're so obsessed with the center line. It's all about the pushing and keeping that distance. But at the same time, they also, this is where the vertical punch comes in, is they have the ability to hit, but also push at the same time. So that's why their whole structure thing and all that is very important to them, you know, and it makes total sense to me. If you are comfortable in the clinch, like you do some Thai boxing and stuff like that, you're fine there, or you have some Greco-Roman experience, you do MMA or something like that, then going into the clinch is not a problem for you. In fact, you might want to be in the clinch. So if that's the case, then the vertical punch, the Wing Chun style, you may not need it. But on the other hand, if you do have the ability to manage the distance and you're also good in the clinch, that could be pretty awesome too. All right, so one more point I want to bring up about the Wing Chun style of vertical punching is that they use right here the blade of the forearm. So if you use the blade of the forearm, you're digging this in to the enemy, right? And what they do is they work on the wooden dummy and stuff. And if you have trained with someone from like a kung fu type system where they have hardened the forearms and they train with that. And if you work out with someone like that, I mean, just after a couple of seconds, I'm like, oh man, that's brutal, that's rough. I tap out, you know. Just the same, if you train with someone who has hard shins and you don't, you know, like in Thai boxing and stuff, after a little bit, you're going to be like, okay, I don't want any more. You know, it is pretty brutal. So from that point of view, having the arms this way, because if you have it more like this way, then this is the soft part of the arm, right? But if you have it this way, you also get to bash your blade of the forearm into the opponent. So if you don't train to harden this, then punching this way may not matter from a Wing Chun perspective. So from a Wing Chun perspective, if you want the ability to push and keep a little bit of some distance or distance management, plus you want to use to your advantage the blade of your forearm, then I think the vertical fist would be a good choice. If those things don't really apply to you, then there may be no point. You might just want to go with regular boxing, okay? But, all right, so at the end of the day, the most important part, okay, the conclusion for this video that I want to say is that this is not shopping. So it's not like you go and you go, am I going to buy a vertical fist or am I going to buy a horizontal fist? Okay, and did I make a good deal? Did I buy the right one? Did I get ripped off? You don't have to worry about that, because that, to me, is not how martial arts works, okay? You pick one, and you put the work into it and you develop it. And once you do that, you can't lose. It's up to you to make it into something. So it's not something that you buy and instantly, was it a good deal or bad deal? You know what I mean? So it's something that you work on. And the working on is way more important than choosing. Okay, so there's a million different styles, a million different techniques out there. And honestly, I really don't think it matters too much. I mean, people try to tell you that it really matters what style you choose, what technique you pick. You know, some work for you, some don't. So it's very, very important. I don't think so. I think what's important is the amount of time that you spent training and developing it. That's what's important. So, you know, please don't fall into the marketing. Have fun training and take care, folks.